Welcome into Celtics post-game live. Scal, Eddie, House, Amina Smith here with you. The Celtics with a big loss to the Bucks, 135-102. They trailed by 37 points at the half, and pretty much this game was over in the first half. But Scal, I'll start with you. How would you sum up this loss to the Bucks?
Dang, Amina, if I sum it up right now, how are we gonna get an hour of the show? I mean, you know, like it's more of a challenge for us to stretch this show for an hour than it is going to be to figure out what the Celtics need to do like the next game. So sum it up, 25-0 run. At that point, we never recovered from that. Stretch that for another hour.
25-0 run. We never recovered from that. No, really, we just didn't have no resistance defensively, and we just looked a step slow. Milwaukee had, what, 3 days off? Was it? How many days?
They played on Monday and got smoked by the Jazz.
Yeah.
So they played on Monday, got smoked by the Jazz. Giannis called them out. Giannis called out the team the next day. No Damian Lillard, and they're down by 30 at halftime. So you could tell they're stewing, and you saw it.
Yeah.
And amazing game for us last night. But this was TNT trying to romanticize the Drew Holiday coming back. If they were really looking at it, be like, man, I don't know how a team is going to come in and beat the Bucks off a back-to-back like that.
Well, I don't think they even expected Minnesota to be as good as Minnesota was, too. They maybe thought that was a gimme game, and then, you know, everybody's going to gear up for that, maybe rest guys on that game because Minnesota's not that, and that's not the case. But, you know, we can't talk about what happened last night. What happened tonight was, you know, foot to backside. You know what I mean? From the beginning, I think it was 13-9 at one point. I was like, okay, because they started off fast. Milwaukee started off fast, and then from that point, they just went to work and they knocked down shots. We had zero resistance, either at the rim, we couldn't guard the three-point line, and everything went good. It just lined up perfect. It was a perfect storm for Milwaukee to beat the Celtics.
Celtics starters altogether in this game only had 31 points. And when it came out of the half, Joe Mazzulla benched all of the starters in the second half. Scal, take me into the locker room. Like, what is that conversation if you're Joe Mazzulla when you come out and bench your players? Because, of course, we know they played in overtime last night against the best team in the West. But that's no excuse to get beat like that where you're down 37 points going into the second half.
So even going into the games, they're talking about the schedule, right? So I think the conversation is, listen, we got two big games coming up, one on Sunday. Wait, what day do we play? Saturday. One on Saturday, one on Monday. The schedule keeps going. So, guys, it might be best for us just to wave the white flag on this one. It happens even to the best of the best. It shouldn't happen too often. But even, I think if you go back, I think the year we won the championship, I remember Utah coming into the building and just like really, like we had no juice. I think we got off a West Coast swing and we had nothing. And it wasn't as bad as this where we couldn't play in the second half. But this game right here, the Celtics just said, let's live to fight another day.
Well, that's what you have to do, I think, in time, especially in these times, right? Because you have Al's not playing tonight because it's the second night of back-to-back, and you have to be real with yourself, and I think that's what Joe was. Joe was real with it, like, okay, guys, you know, that's a really good ball club over there. We're down 37. It's going to take a lot for us to climb back in this game, to be in it, to have a chance. Not to climb back to win it, but to climb back just to have a chance. Yeah. And they're going to be playing as hard as they can to keep you from that. You know what? Let's just live to fight another day.
Remember when we were in L.A. and we were talking, I was like, this is a scheduling loss for the Clippers. They had the back-to-back, and then they flew into L.A., and then when you had that early start, right, it's just sometimes the NBA, you got to squeeze 82 games in there, and once in a while there's going to be something like this. It doesn't mean you could predict all this stuff. Like sometimes teams could say, oh, you know what, we're motivated. Like Minnesota flying in day of. Like they were just ultra-motivated that particular night. But tonight, it was a scheduling loss for us, just like when we smacked the Clippers and we were up by 35. It was a scheduling loss for them. That's just how the league works at any given times.
We mentioned the first half where the Bucks, they led by 37 points, beating the Celtics out in that first half. You know, Eddie, what was working for Milwaukee from the start of this game?
That's not the right question, Amina.
What's the right question?
What wasn't working?
That's true, because everything was working.
Everything was cracking off for them. You know, and like I said, it started with no resistance, and the fact that we couldn't make any threes, that didn't help. And I mean, there was just zero resistance from the first half. And again, you could push the panic button if it was something that, like, dang, this is reoccurring, you know, for the Celtics. They play well, and then they come out and lay an egg. This is their first egg, I really believe, that they laid. And you know, due to the scheduling, so I don't want to make any excuses because everybody has to play. But for the most part, this is the first time I've seen them there was nothing that they were doing right, whether it be defending. And it wasn't for lack thereof trying. It just was they were a step slow. And you get caught like that some nights. It just be the other team's night. It's just not your night. You make bad decisions defensively, lack of communication. It's a lot of things that could go wrong. I mean, you know, we're stretching it right now. We're trying to figure out, you know, on a blowout, what you can say about it. And all you can say is really, if you were in that locker room, same thing that Joe did. Hey, let's just get this game over. Let's get back to Boston and be cool.
Yeah, that's what Doc would do.
Yeah.
Guys, all right, come on, bring it in. Well, come on, just whatever you need to do to get right, get right. All right, just bring it in.
Because there's nothing you could really learn from this.
2 on 3.
Right,
so it's like they're NBA, like they know they're not gonna have a team meeting over something like this. And like Eddie said, it's not a reoccurring thing. But you know, you hate that it's the Milwaukee Bucks, and you hate that it's supposed to be a statement game. But it's how it goes sometimes.
I'm just thinking though, if like from a fan perspective, and you know that there are back-to-backs in the schedule, that's something that's very normal. I mean, if you're looking at this Celtics team, do you start to question maybe like the toughness, the mentality, or was that game against the Minnesota Timberwolves just that good where they were going into overtime, where tonight you knew it might be a problem in terms of them having the gas to go?
I don't think their toughness has to be questioned.
Yeah.
It was just one of those games. And more than not, I would think that this is probably a one-off anomaly type thing where we won't see this type of performance. And if we do see it happen again and then again, then you could be like, hey, that might be concerning. But I'm not really concerned about this one game. It's a long season, man. You've been in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You throw this away, you go home, and that's it.
Yeah, and the records on back-to-backs have been strong.
Right.
You know, they're not tapping out of these back-to-backs, so their records have been really good. And their record has been so good that it made me think, you know what, maybe they shocked the world here a little bit, you know, but you got to take into account what Milwaukee was going through, because a lot of teams in the NBA, like, let me explain NBA players. They're good at having their back to the wall and fighting out. They've been doing that their whole life from the time they were kids all the way through. A lot of them have trouble handling success. That's where the problem comes in. Complacency steps in. Those are things that NBA players. When the Milwaukee Bucks, who have a lot of pride, are coming off of, you know, they've won a championship and they're coming off 2 embarrassing losses. All of a sudden, you know they're going to have pride. They're going to be that team with their back against the wall. So this is expected. It's unfortunate, but expected. We'll see if they trend this direction, but I would not overreact to this at all.